Good coffee this morning. I mean, it's hot, it's fresh, it's good.
Best part of waking up. How you doing? I'm Paul Begley. Well, I've got some breaking news coming right out of Venezuela. Hugo Chavez has decided to take over his country. Basically, people, it's like watching an old movie, a rerun. It's like watching Adolf Hitler rise to power in Nazi Germany. How'd he do it? He walked in with his Nazi party, and he just kept taking ground, and passing laws, giving the Fuhrer more power, to finally, they gave Adolf Hitler absolute power, ultimate power to rule by decree. Well, December the 17th, just a few days ago, Hugo Chavez was able to get his National Assembly to pass a law giving him power by decree. For the next 18 months, he can, by decree, can do anything he needs to do. And the reason they did it is because in their elections they had this fall, the opposition party to Hugo Chavez gained 67 seats in a 195-seat assembly. Although they're still in the minority, they gained significant ground. So much so they would be able to challenge a lot of Hugo Chavez's direction, a lot of his agendas. So they're going to be sworn in on January the 5th. The new National General Assembly comes into play. So what Chavez did is he went to the old lame duck bunch. They passed a bunch of stuff through just like the American left just did. The Democrats and Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi for Barack Obama, because they've lost 67 seats, ironically. And they passed a bunch of junk through, but the biggest thing they did was they pushed through a law that on December the 17th they voted to give ultimate power to Hugo Chavez. Now Chavez is buddies with Fidel Castro. He's buddies with Iran's President Ahmadinejad. He loves Russia. He's in love with the dictatorship of North Korea. This guy is an ultimate communist who's taking over a democratic nation of 120 million people. Well, if you don't believe me, here's an article by Time, as this just broke today, and I'm going to read this to you. I think this is significant. This is dangerous, what's happening. Because if you take a step back and look at the New World Order and how that the 7 heads and the 10 horns in the Bible are going to come together, you have to have somebody down in South America has got to be the leader. And it looks like it's going to be Hugo Chavez. Let's read from Time. At Christmas, most Venezuelans put politics aside to occupy themselves with whiskey-laden celebrations, heart-stopping firecrackers, and visits to far-flung relatives. So few were surprised when President Hugo Chavez chose the annual party time to push through a law that allows him to rule by decree for the next 18 months, effectively superseding the new, less friendly National Assembly that is poised to take office on January the 5th, 2011. Most Venezuelans were just too busy enjoying themselves to object for the moment. So in other words, did it lame duck holiday season when nobody's watching. For good measure or bad, President supporters have also rushed through a stack of last-minute laws that regulate the internet, freedom of speech. You take away their voice, they have no choice. They passed prohibiting non-governmental organizations from receiving foreign funding. Also prevent lawmakers from voting against their political parties and make it easier for the government to intervene in the banks. What did this guy just took over the country. He's going to regulate the internet, so he's going to stop the freedom of speech. If you oppose him, he'll hunt you down. You just might as well say it. He stopped private businesses from receiving funds from foreign organizations. That just stopped the ability for private enterprise to do global economy. In other words, the government's going to control all money coming in and out of the country. They'll cut any deals that's not Venezuelan deals. Anything outside the borders. That's taken away free enterprise, the global market. That just took it away from private business. That just destroyed capitalism from the outside. They can still be capitalistic inside right now, but you just shut their abilities to do business outside the borders of Venezuela. The next thing they did was they prevent lawmakers from voting against their political party. So what that means is the guys in the minority have to just vote whatever their party feels, and the guys in the majority will only vote what they feel. You can't jump ship. You can't think individually for your constituents. You must vote party line only, and he has the majority on his side. So now he has just caused the National Assembly to become impotent. So their elections they just had mean nothing. Because the people voted these representatives in, but these representatives cannot represent the people. They're limited. They're cornered. And that wasn't the last thing he did. Also, they made it easier for the government to intervene in the banking system, where the money is. So basically, and he can decree anything he wants. By decree, he can rule the country by decree, or as a dictator. For the next 18 months, they gave him the authority. He's a communist dictator as of December 17th. Now he'll quietly make these changes. Systematically. But every time he does one, he has the legal right to do it. It was given to him. It was granted to him. So Chavez said that decree powers are necessary to assist the victims of the heavy rains that have provoked flooding and mudslides. He don't have to have full power to help the mudslide victims. I'm sure the National Assembly, Congress will vote to take care of that. I mean, come on, who's buying that? But Chavez says he needs the decree powers are necessary to assist the victims of heavy rains that have provoked flooding and mudslides, killing more than 30 people and leaving more than 130,000 people homeless in Venezuela. So for that small group of people, 120 million must bow their knee to Hugo Chavez. Those displaced have been temporarily sheltered in hotels and a shopping mall that Chavez appointed last year, and even the presidential palace was used to put a few people in. After visiting those affected on Christmas Eve, Hugo Chavez made his first use of his newly found powers on Sunday by creating a $2.3 billion fund for the reconstruction efforts. He didn't need the National Assembly. He doesn't need his Congress to pass a spending bill of $2.3 billion. He just does it by decree. He scoffed at his critics, who allege he will use his decree powers to slide the country toward a dictatorship, saying there will only be democracy, democracy, and more democracy. Well, that's a lie. You've just been given the complete powers of a dictator. What I see is communism, communism, and more communism. Or the beginning, the exact replica of the new world order that's going to eventually be how the entire world is structured, including the United States of America, who are in debt to their eyeballs to communist countries and regimes. Still, as he signed the so-called enabling law, it's called, on December 17th, President Chavez threw a gib at his opposition lawmakers who gained the 67 seats of the National Assembly out of their 165 seats that they picked up in September. Now, even though they're the minority, but still a dramatic shift from the rubber-stamped legislatures that he had enjoyed for the past 5 years he's been president. Let's see how they're going to make their laws now, said Chavez. You just rewrote the Constitution. It's wrong. It's just totally wrong. It's now the first time that Hugo Chavez has taken steps to challenge those who oppose him. After an opposition leader was elected mayor of Caracas last year, the National Assembly passed a law largely removing his power and creating a position above him for an official appointee to be directed by the president. So, this guy wins the mayor. He becomes the mayor of a pretty large city in Venezuela. So what do? They appoint a director over him who reports to the president, basically causing this mayor impotent. Again, changing the Constitution. Oh my God, this is communism. Where's the Kremlin? Do you see the ghost of Vladimir Lenin or Joseph Stalin walking through the streets of Venezuela? I can't read no more. Do you get the picture? Communism has come to Venezuela. Oh, it caught the people unaware. Caught them asleep partying. They did it when they turned their head. They did it when they least expected. They boiled in water like a frog. And that's the exact same thing the entire world is going to experience when the Antichrist rises to power under the authority granted him by the New World Order. And that will come about by the United Nations in conjunction with the Security Council's 5 permanent members. If you want to know more about that, you need to watch my video that I'm entitled 666, Paul Begley's Prophecy, the New World Order. Rise of the Beast. It's part 3. Go there and you will see exactly what Hugo Chavez has just done is a precursor. It is a prelude to how the New World Order is going to come into play. I'm Paul Begley. This is really, folks, this is really scary times, and very few of you are aware of it.